Good morning, everyone. Okay, we'll continue our book reading Advanced Selling Strategy by Brian Tracy. We'll continue from where we stopped on closing the sales, the end game of selling. Yesterday, we looked at the obstacles to closing. We looked at the 4 obstacles to closing. So today on page 393, we'll be looking at buying signals. Buying signals. Said as explained in chapter 7, only 7% of the customer's message to you is in the form of words. Another 38% is in his tone of voice. But fully 55% of his message is conveyed by his body language. His message is transmitted largely by the way he moves and the things he does with his hands, face, and eyes. If you are sufficiently observant, the prospect will actually tell you how you're doing in the sales conversation. He will also tell you when he is ready to make a decision. If you pick up on his cue, you will know exactly when to ask for a buying commitment. The first and the most obvious clue comes when the prospect, after you have presented your product, asks you about the price and terms. How much does it cost and how can he go about paying for it? When you hear a question like this, immediately stop presenting and make an attempt to conclude the transaction. Answer the questions with a question of your own. How soon do you need it? How many will you want at this time? Will you want it delivered here or to your home address? The second type of signal is when the customer asks you for more details about the aspect of your product. This often indicates that you have hit the hot button. The prospect will be curious and interested, even fascinated about the particular aspect of your product or service that attracts him the most. When you begin to hear this detailed question, bring your arguments to bear on a particular element of the product. How well it works, how much you will enjoy it when he owns it. Say something like this. This is one of the most popular aspects of this product. In fact, if you really like it, I can probably have one of these out to you by the end of the weekend. The third signal is when the customer asks about delivery. How long does it take to get it? You can confirm this as a buying signal by asking something simple like, would you want it delivered to this address? If you confirm that this is where he wants it delivered, he has decided to go ahead. Or you could ask him, how soon do you need it? Whatever time schedule he gives you, he has decided to purchase your product. You should stop your presentation at the point and begin to wrap up the sales. The fourth way the customer signals to you that he's ready to buy is by adjusting his picture of changing his body language. There are 2 positions that the prospect goes into when he's ready to make a buying decision. The tea kettle position and the deep thought position or chin rubbing position. In the tea kettle position, the prospect leans forward with one hand on his hip and his arm on his knee. If you can imagine his head being the spout and his hand on his hip being the handle, you see where the tea kettle image comes from. This is the ready position, like a runner at the mark ready to spring at the starting gun. When you see it, shift your body forward into a similar position and ask, would you like us to get started on this right away? The second position that indicates that a buying decision is coming is deep thought or chin rubbing. Sometimes, during your presentation, The prospect stops and his hand leaps to his chin. His head declines. He becomes loose in thought. According to research, chin rubbing has a 99% predictive value. When the hand goes to the chin and the customer becomes lost in thought, he is almost invariably thinking about how to purchase your product. He no longer sees or hears you. You should stop talking and sit quietly until his hands come down from his chin. When his hand comes down from his head, when his hand comes down, his head will come up and he will make eye contact with you. The answer is yes. When this happens, as soon as the hand comes down and his eyes make contact with yours, ask a closing question. Where would you like it delivered? We could send it out Friday, or would Monday be all right with you? Another way to know that it is time to ask for the order is when your customers begin calculating numbers, working out how much the product costs, how the price can be justified, how much the use of the product or service will add to the revenue or detract from cost, and so on. When the prospect is calculating numbers, remain silent. Don't interfere with the process. He can't calculate and hear you at the same time. After he has finished calculating the numbers and he looks up at you, which one of these would you prefer? Customers also signal buying readiness by sudden friendliness. This happens when the customer shifts from being resistant or standoffish to suddenly being warm and friendly. He begins to act like a host. He will ask questions like, by the way, have you seen our office? Would you like another cup of coffee? Do you have any children? How long have you lived in the city? When the prospect shifts into a friendly mood, it means the tension of decision making has been broken. He's now relaxed and ready to go ahead. To confirm that this is what is happening, you should smile and ask a closing question. Which color do you prefer? Where would you want it delivered? How soon do you need it? The final signal that the prospect has reached the end of the road is when he begins asking smokescreen objections. These are questions like, how do I know I'm getting the best deal? Are you sure this is the right one? Is there any flexibility with regards to the price? The customer offers this type of objection only after he had decided that he wants the product and he can afford it. He's ready to make a buying decision. He's like a man slipping towards the edge, grasping at straws as he moves towards the point of no return. You should always reassure him that he's making a good decision. You have made a good choice. You're really going to be happy with this once you start using it. The sound of silence. We have seen that the biggest single complaint about salespeople is that they talk too much. Men especially tend to speak louder and faster when they are nervous and they fear rejection. Many salespeople have been told that because they have the gift of gabs, they would be great in sales. Old stereotypes like Robert Preston in The Music Man of George C. Scott in the film Flam Man have led many salespeople to believe that the essence of professional selling is talking people into buying things by jamming as many words as possible into as short a period of time as they have. Nothing could be further from the truth. Every single day, thousands of salespeople talk themselves out of sales by going on long after the prospect has decided to buy. Finally, the prospect gives up waiting and mutters something like, well, leave me this material and let me think it over. And soon, the salesperson is back on the street, unsure of what exactly happened. You can talk yourself out of a sale, but it is almost impossible to listen to listing yourself out of a sale. Good salespeople are comfortable with silence. They let the customer do the talking. While the customer is talking, they are busy listening and building trust. They are observing the customer's movement and mannerism. They are looking for clues that will give them feedback on what the customer is really thinking and what the customer really wants. As an exercise, you should take on a regular basis to observe other people, both the members of your family and the people you work with. Notice the clues and cues they give off in small bodily movements and tiny changes of facial expressions. The more sensitive you become to the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of other people, the more capable you will be of confirming the sales when the critical moment arises. Sorry. This is where we'll stop for our book reading this morning. We've looked at the buying signals